The research station hung in silent orbit above a blue gas giant. It was wide, cold, and clean, built by many species who believed knowledge was power. Inside the station, long halls curved like ribs, and soft lights followed strict paths on the floor. Every sound echoed gently, as if even noise had rules here. The station was famous across several systems. It was where limits were tested. Heat, pressure, radiation, gravity. Many species came here to prove strength or intelligence. Many failed. Some never left. Humans were new to this place. Most alien scientists believed humans were fragile. Their homeworld had lighter gravity than many advanced species. Their bodies looked soft. Their bones were not thick like stone creatures. Their skin had no armor. Their claws were weak. To the Council, humans survived only because they were clever, not strong. That belief was about to be tested. Evan stood at the edge of the gravity lab, hands resting at his sides. He wore a simple station uniform, gray and loose, nothing special. He was not tall compared to many aliens, but his posture was straight. His eyes moved calmly across the room. The gravity lab was huge. The floor was dark metal, marked with lines and symbols. Thick pillars reached up into the ceiling, filled with cables and energy cores. At the center of the room stood the gravity suit. The suit was large, dark, and heavy. Thick plates covered its frame. Cables ran along its back and legs. Inside it were fields that could crush a body from all sides. The suit could make a single step feel like lifting a mountain. Several species had tested it. None had treated it lightly. Director Hallerik floated near the observation glass, supported by a gravity harness of his own. His long neck bent forward as he studied Evan. Hallerik's species came from a world with crushing gravity. Yet, even so, the suit frightened him. "This is not a demonstration," Hallerik said through the translator. "This suit is dangerous." Evan nodded. "I understand. You are here only to observe," Hallerik added. "Not to enter the suit." Evan's eyes stayed on the machine. "Sure," he said. The technicians moved around the suit, checking readings. One of them, a small four-armed being named Lyra, looked nervous. She adjusted the controls twice, then a third time, just to be sure. "This level is set for training," Lyra said. "Not testing. We will not exceed safety limits." Hallerik agreed. "Humans do not need to prove anything today." Evan smiled faintly. "That's good." The suit powered on. A low hum filled the room. Lights along the suit's frame glowed blue, then white. Lyra stepped back. "Gravity field stable." Hallerik turned to Evan. "You may approach, if you wish, but do not touch." Evan walked forward. His steps were easy, unhurried. He circled the suit once. Looking at joints, cables, and locks, he leaned closer, careful not to touch. "This thing spreads force evenly," Evan said. "That's smart." Hallerik blinked. "You understand its design?" "Basic idea," Evan replied. "Feels like resistance from all sides." Lyra made a small sound of surprise. "Yes, exactly." Evan tilted his head. "What's the max load?" Hallerik hesitated. "Far beyond human tolerance." Evan nodded slowly. "Right." There was a pause. Then Evan spoke again. "Can I try it?" The room went silent. Lyra's hands froze above the control panel. Hallerik stared at Evan as if the translator had failed. "No!" Hallerik said sharply. "Absolutely not." Evan raised his hands slightly. "Just asking." "This suit has injured, trained soldiers," Hallerik said. "Species born under greater gravity than yours." Evan listened. He did not argue. He simply looked at the suit again, thoughtful. "I lift heavy things for a living," Evan said. "Not like this, sure, but pressure is pressure." Hallerik shook his head. "This is not lifting. This is survival." Evan smiled, small and calm. "Same thing sometimes." Hallerik turned away, signaling the technicians. "Begin the standard test cycle." Evan will observe from the line. A glowing boundary lit up on the floor. Evan stepped behind it without complaint. The test began. The suit moved on its own, guided by internal motors. Gravity inside it increased slowly. Sensors recorded stress on the frame. At low levels, everything was normal. Then the readings climbed. Lyra frowned. "That's odd. What is it?" Hallerik asked. "The suit is compensating," she said, as if the load is uneven. Hallerik studied the data. "Impossible. There is no pilot." Evan leaned forward slightly. "Looks like the field wants to settle around a center mass." Lyra glanced at him. "Yes, that is correct." Evan pointed. "That joint there might be stiff, causing drift." Hallerik felt irritation rise. "Human, please remain quiet." Evan stepped back. "Sorry." The test cycle ended. The suit powered down. Hallerik released a slow breath. As expected, the suit remains lethal at higher settings. Evan nodded. "Mind if I step closer again?" Hallerik allowed it unwillingly. Evan walked up to the suit and placed a hand on its outer frame. Before anyone could stop him, he pressed the manual release. The suit opened. Alarms chirped softly. "Human, stop!" Hallerik snapped. Evan stepped inside. Lyra cried out. "Field not locked. Gravity still active." The suit closed around Evan with a heavy sound. The hum returned, deeper now. Gravity engaged. "Cut power!" Hallerik shouted. Lyra's hands flew over the controls. "It's not responding. The suit auto-sealed." Inside the suit, Evan felt the weight hit him like a wall. His knees bent instantly. The pressure wrapped around his chest, his arms, his spine. Breathing became work. For one moment, the room waited for him to fall. Evan grunted. His jaw tightened. He planted his feet. His knees shook, but they did not buckle. The readings spiked. "Impossible," Lyra whispered. "He should be unconscious." Hallerik stared at the display. The gravity level was still low by suit standards, but far beyond what humans were rated to handle. Inside the suit, Evan adjusted his stance. He leaned forward slightly, spreading the load. He took a slow breath, then another. "Okay," he muttered. "That's heavy." "It." Hallerik could hear him through the suit mic. Hallerik ordered. "Human, do not move!" Hallerik ordered. "You are in danger." Evan did not answer. He shifted his weight. The suit creaked. The readings changed again. "He's adapting," Lyra said, voice shaking. "The field is stabilizing around him." Evan straightened a little more. His muscles burned, his heart hammered. Sweat formed along his brow, but he stayed standing. From the observation deck, the aliens watched in stunned silence. After several long seconds, Evan spoke. "Is this the lowest setting?" Hallerik felt something cold settle in his core. "Yes," he said slowly. "It is." Evan let out a breath that almost sounded like a laugh. "Huh." The suit sensors continued to report stable output. No collapse. No system failure. Just a human standing under crushing force. Lyra swallowed. "Director, should we increase the load?" Hallerik did not answer right away. He watched Evan inside the suit, still upright, still breathing, still conscious. For the first time since the station was built, the gravity lab felt small. And for the first time, Hallerik wondered if they had invited something dangerous aboard. The lights flickered slightly as the suit adjusted again. Evan rolled his shoulders, testing the weight, like someone checking gym equipment before a workout. "Hey," Evan said calmly. "How long do people usually last in this thing?" "No one," replied the silence, stretched heavy as the gravity itself. And somewhere deep in the station systems, a warning indicator turned from yellow to orange. The room was quiet after the first test, but the quiet did not mean peace. The aliens were uneasy. They had watched Evan endure the suit at low settings, and he had done more than survive. He had adapted. He had moved. He had even smiled. That was something no one expected. Director Halrek floated near the observation panel, long neck bent, eyes scanning every readout. The numbers made no sense. The sensors were reporting stability, but the human's body should have been overwhelmed. Already, the council had debated earlier whether to continue the trials, but seeing Evan inside the suit had changed everything. Some argued it was a mistake. Others, curious, wanted to see the limits. Lyra, the small four-armed technician, tapped at the panel repeatedly. "The suit is adjusting itself around him," she whispered. "It is reacting differently than before, like it recognizes him." Evan's voice came from inside the suit, calm and measured. "It feels different this time, almost comfortable in a way, not exactly light, but manageable." Halrek's tail twitched. "Comfortable? That is impossible. The suit is designed to crush, not comfort." Evan shifted his weight slowly. He bent his knees, rolled his shoulders, and lifted one arm to adjust the harness inside the suit. Sensors blinked rapidly, recording data the aliens had never seen. The gravity field fluctuated slightly as his movements spread the pressure. "Watch," Evan said, almost cheerfully. "If you let it move with me, it doesn't hurt as much." It's all about balance. Lyra and several junior scientists exchanged nervous glances. They had run simulations, tests, even risk assessments. Humans were fragile. Humans collapsed under weight far lighter than this. Yet here was one standing inside the suit, moving as if it were a normal training exercise. Alex's voice was low, tense. "Increase the gravity, slowly!" "We need to know the truth." Lyra hesitated. "Director, are you sure? The human?" "He can survive," Halrek said, though even he doubted the certainty in his voice. "We need to see how far he can go. Slowly. Do not exceed warning limits until we know what happens." The controls glowed orange. The gravity inside the suit increased just slightly, but enough for every sensor to note the change. Evan felt the shift immediately. His knees bent slightly. He inhaled deeply. The suit pressed against his chest, back, and arms. It was heavier, far heavier than the first round, but Evan did not panic. "Okay," he said to himself, voice steady. "Feels like a full squat with a ton of extra weight." The aliens blinked. That comparison made no sense to them. The word squat was human, and human actions were weak. Yet the readings confirmed what Evan's words implied. He was handling it. Rahl, a tall alien officer with armored skin, floated closer to the observation glass. "Director," he said, voice serious, "if this continues, the suit may surpass its structural integrity. Should we stop now?" Halrek waved a long, clawed hand. "Not yet. Observe. But be ready." Evan moved again, testing the limits. He squatted slightly, then pushed up, careful with each movement. He lifted his arms above his head, as if stretching, and the suit creaked under the strain. Sensors spiked. "You are incredible," Lyra whispered, almost to herself. "How is this possible?" Evan laughed quietly. "You guys build tough suits, but you forget one thing. Humans learn how to take pressure and keep moving. We don't just survive. We adapt." Halrek's eyes narrowed. He had seen many species train, endure, even die under the suit. None had reacted like this. None had adapted. None had spoken lightly, as if it were just a game. The suit continued to increase gravity in small increments. Each step made the pressure more intense. Evan felt his muscles burn, his chest ache, his spine tense, yet he did not collapse. He moved carefully, using every motion to spread the force, shifting weight from foot to foot, shoulder to shoulder. Lyra tapped frantically at the console. "Readings are off the charts. He shouldn't be doing this." "I've recalibrated sensors 3 times, but the data, it's consistent." Rahl swallowed hard. "Director, if the suit fails, it could damage the entire chamber." "Or worse." Halrek did not answer. He could not take his eyes off the display. The human inside the suit was thriving in a way he could not explain. Evan adjusted his grip on the internal harness. He tested his balance, stepping slightly forward, then back. Each move was measured. The suit responded by shifting gravity slightly to compensate. "It's like it's learning with me," he said, almost fascinated. "Every step, every shift, it works with my body." Halrek's jaw tightened. "Impossible. The suit is not sentient. It cannot learn." Lyra shook her head. "Maybe not sentient, but it reacts to force patterns. That is normal. But humans shouldn't be able to control it like this. Not a human." Evan bent forward slightly, placing hands on the floor inside the suit. The pressure was enormous. It felt like the weight of several tons pressing on him. His arms shook, his back quivered. But he pushed upward, slowly rising, testing the field again. Outside the suit, sensors beeped wildly. Numbers jumped and fell, fluctuating faster than any technician had ever recorded. The gravity field, designed to crush, was stabilizing around Evan's movements. Halrek's tail twitched nervously. "Stop the test," he muttered. "Increase is too dangerous." But Raoul hesitated. "We cannot. He is still moving. If we stop now, we will not learn anything." Evan's breathing grew heavier, but he smiled faintly. "Feels like the next level," he said. "Bit harder, but manageable." The aliens whispered among themselves. Some were excited. Some were terrified. None had expected this. None had prepared for it. Hours passed, or maybe minutes. Time felt slow inside the gravity lab. Evan continued his small movements, testing each joint, adjusting balance, flexing muscles. The suit continued to respond, pressure increasing gradually. His body burned, sweat formed, yet his face remained calm. "You are extraordinary," Lyra muttered, voice trembling. "Nothing in our records compares." Evan glanced at her. "I'm just a human. We like to push ourselves. That's how we survive." Halrek's eyes narrowed. "Your species, you underestimate them at your own risk." The suit reached higher levels of gravity. Evan's body bent under the force. Muscles screamed. Bones ached. Every breath was a struggle. Yet he moved deliberately, spreading the weight, flexing with care. "Not bad," he said quietly. "This is harder than the gym at home, but doable." The aliens watched in disbelief. They had designed this suit to simulate crushing planets, to test limits far beyond human endurance. Yet here was a human moving through it as if it were light resistance. Rael's voice was low, almost fearful. "Director, the human, he may be dangerous if he survives this. The Council will not approve our findings if he continues." Halrek did not respond. He was too busy watching, too busy realizing that everything he believed about humans could be wrong. Inside the suit, Evan straightened his back, testing his balance again. He lifted one leg slightly, then the other. He moved his arms to counterbalance. The pressure was immense, yet his body adapted naturally. "I can see why you built this," he said, voice steady. "It's impressive, but you underestimate humans. We can handle more than you think." Lyra and Raoul exchanged worried glances. Halrek's jaw tightened. He had spent his life studying strength, survival, endurance. Nothing had prepared him for this. The suit creaked under the pressure, sensors blinking furiously. Evan's body trembled, but he did not stop. He adjusted, moved, adapted. Every motion was careful, deliberate. Every shift made the suit respond differently, but he continued. "Stop!" Lyra said, almost begging. "You cannot go further." "It is too dangerous." Evan shook his head. "I'm fine, just keep it steady. I can handle more." Halrek took a deep breath. "Fine. But slowly. Increase in small increments. We need to know what humans are capable of." The control panel glowed orange, then red. The suit's gravity increased slightly. Evan felt the pressure hit him like a wall. Every muscle burned. Every joint protested. Every breath was heavy. Yet he stood, he moved carefully. He shifted, he adapted. And the aliens realized something terrifying. Humans were not weak. Humans were not fragile. Humans could survive, adapt, and even thrive under conditions no one else could. Evan smiled faintly. Feels like the next challenge. What do you have after this? The room fell silent. No one spoke. No one dared answer. Because they all knew the truth. And the truth was dangerous. Humans were nothing like they expected. And the tests had only just begun. Evan stepped out of the gravity suit chamber, his body still humming with the strain of the previous test. Sweat ran down his face and his muscles burned, but his eyes were bright. He looked around at the alien observers, who stared at him with a mix of fear, confusion, and something like awe. No one spoke at first. The gravity lab, which had felt dangerous and imposing minutes ago, now seemed almost small, as if the human standing before them had changed its scale entirely. Impressive, Lyra said finally, her voice quiet. She could hardly believe what she had just seen. I have never seen anyone survive that. Evan wiped his brow with the back of his hand and nodded. It's not about surviving. It's about understanding how to move in it. You don't fight it, you work with it. Halrek, the station director, floated closer, his long neck bending forward. Human, you may not realize what you are saying. You have survived what no other species has. That is extraordinary. But it is also dangerous. Evan smiled faintly. I know, but danger is part of life. If you always avoid it, you never know what you can do. The room remained tense. Real, the tall, armored officer, crossed his arms and studied Evan carefully. Director, I do not trust this. The human may survive, but he is unpredictable. We cannot let him continue like this without limits. Halrek nodded slowly. Agreed. But curiosity may teach us more than caution. We must understand why he can do what no other species can. Evan, listening to their discussion, did not argue. Instead, he took slow steps toward the observation deck, glancing at the instruments and panels. His eyes lingered on the suit, now powered down and quiet, as if it were waiting for him. This thing is impressive, he said. But it could be better. Some of the joints are stiff. They resist too much at certain angles. If I were using it every day, I could work with that. Lyra's hands flew over her controls. Did he just critique the suit? And he was inside it for the first time and survived. And now he is suggesting improvements? Halrek exhaled slowly. This human is not just strong. He is clever. He understands physics and movement instinctively. That is frightening. Ral moved closer to the glass. Director, if we continue the tests, we risk more than damage to the suit. The human could surpass us entirely. Other species will not accept it if humans gain this knowledge. Halrek shook his head. We are not here to dominate. We are here to understand. Let him continue, but under controlled conditions. That is all we can do for now. Evan, standing outside the suit, listened to their conversation. He tilted his head thoughtfully. Controlled conditions, he repeated. That's fine. I can work with that, but if you want results, you'll need to let me move more freely. Lyra looked at Halrek, alarmed. Director, he does not realize what he is asking. Free movement in the suit at this stage could be catastrophic. Halrek waved his clawed hand. We will not allow full freedom. Only small movements, incremental changes. He can train, learn, adapt, but we will control the parameters. That is all. Evan nodded. Understood. His eyes flicked to the control panel. Where do I start? The council agreed on a daily training schedule. Evan would wear lighter gravity gear at first, allowing him to adjust gradually. Each day the settings would increase, testing strength, endurance, and balance. The aliens monitored every movement, every heartbeat, every reaction. They expected fear, but two triggers. They expected failure, but Evan gave neither. The first day of training began. Evan moved slowly, testing each joint, each muscle. The suit responded to him in real time, adjusting to his motions. The aliens observed, stunned. "He moves differently than our simulations predicted," Lyra whispered. "He is adapting." Evan bent, twisted, shifted his weight. Soft Rishop was an absent in the back to prevent Annie from getting a rest. Each movement was deliberate. The gravity was heavy yet manageable. Sweat formed on his brow, but his face remained calm. He lifted one leg, then the other, arms balancing him. The suit creaked, sensors blinked rapidly, yet he continued. Halleck floated near the observation deck. "He is not just enduring, he is improving the suit's function by moving it. That is dangerous." Rowell's voice was low. "Director, we cannot predict what he will do next. Humans are different. They do not behave like other species. If he continues, he may surpass our expectations entirely." Evan's voice came from the suit, calm. "Feels good. Like stretching before a big lift. I can feel the suit learning with me. It adjusts, makes it easier to move without losing balance." Lyra exchanged a nervous glance with another technician. "It is learning, or he is teaching it how to respond." Either way, it is unprecedented. Hours passed. Evan trained steadily. Small movements at first, then larger. He adjusted, adapted, tested the limits. Each day, he grew stronger. His muscles became more precise. His endurance increased. The aliens observed, fascinated and terrified. Other humans on the station watched too. They were engineers, scientists, and technicians. They had never seen a human move like this under artificial gravity. They began to gather around the observation areas, whispering in awe. Evan noticed them. "Keep watching," he said lightly. "You might learn something." The aliens were not the only ones paying attention. Word of Evan's ability spread quickly across the station. Soon, whispers reached species who had once mocked humans. Some avoided the gym entirely, unwilling to be embarrassed. Others watched from a distance, curious but wary. Rail floated near Halleck, voice tense. "Director, I warned you. Humans are not just survivors. They adapt, they improve. We are seeing it firsthand. The Council must know. Other species will not remain passive if humans continue to train like this." Halleck nodded slowly, eyes fixed on Evan inside the suit. "We will report carefully, but for now, let him continue. He is teaching us more than we ever imagined." Evan continued to move, unaware of the tension his presence had caused. He bent, twisted, shifted, lifted, and balanced. The suit responded perfectly to his motions. Sweat poured down his face, muscles burned, yet he smiled faintly. "Not bad," he muttered. "Could be harder, but not bad at all." Lyra shook her head. "We have never seen a species like this. Nothing in our data compares." Halleck's voice was low, almost a whisper. "We invited a human here to observe, and instead, we are learning from him. That is dangerous." The days passed. Evan's training continued. He moved with precision, testing every aspect of the suit. He discovered weaknesses, suggested improvements, and pushed his own limits. The aliens recorded everything, unable to look away, and as he trained, they realized something terrifying. Humans were not weak. Humans were not fragile. Humans could endure, adapt, and improve under conditions no other species could. One evening, after a long day of training, Evan stepped out of the suit. His body was exhausted but steady. He wiped sweat from his brow and looked at the council members. "So, what's next?" he asked casually. Halleck exhaled slowly. "Next, we prepare for the final test. One that even I fear." Evan's eyes lit up. "Finally. Let's see what you've got." The aliens shivered. They had seen strength, endurance, and cleverness combined in one human. They had thought the tests were controlled. They had believed humans were fragile. They had been wrong. And now the final trial loomed ahead, one that could change everything they believed about humans. Evan smiled faintly, muscles still sore, eyes bright with curiosity. "Bring it on," he said. The room fell silent. Even the machines seemed to wait, as if aware that the next step would be unlike anything the station had ever witnessed, and somewhere deep in the observation decks alarms blinked quietly, warning that the human was far from done. The gravity chamber glowed with a soft white light, filling the room with a strange, almost peaceful feeling. But the calm was deceptive. Every monitor, every sensor, every instrument hummed with tension. Outside the chamber, alien observers whispered in low voices, their antennae twitching, claws tapping, eyes wide. They knew what was about to happen. This was the final test, the one no other being had survived, the one even the most skilled species feared. Evan stood at the edge of the chamber, stripped down to the standard training gear. His uniform clung to his body, muscles taut and ready. Sweat still lingered from the previous sessions, but he did not look tired. His eyes scanned the control panels, the room, the glowing lights above him. He moved calmly, as if he were preparing for a normal workout, not a test designed to crush the strongest being alive. "Human, are you certain?" Director Halleck's voice echoed from the observation deck, his long neck bent, eyes fixed on Evan. "The gravity levels you will face are beyond any known safe limit. Many have failed." Most never survived the first seconds. Evan smiled faintly, rubbing his arms. "I know what I'm stepping into. I can handle it." "Let's see what you've built." Lyra, the four-armed technician, adjusted controls nervously. "Sensors are ready. The chamber is sealed. We cannot stop it once activated unless we manually override the systems. Even then, it may be too late." Ral floated close, armor gleaming under the lights. "Director, the human may survive, but the station itself could be damaged. Are we willing to risk it?" Halleck did not answer. He only watched. Evan stepped into the chamber. The doors closed behind him with a low hiss. Inside, the floor was a dark reflective metal, and the walls were lined with energy conduits. The gravity suit had been integrated into the chamber itself, a system of fields designed to surround the human with immense pressure from all directions. Sensors above and below monitored every movement, every heartbeat, every muscle contraction. "Activate field," Lyra said, voice trembling slightly. A low hum filled the chamber. Light flickered as energy spread in invisible waves. Evan felt the first pressure hit him like a physical wall. He bent his knees instinctively, arms bracing against the floor. The force pressed his chest, shoulders, spine, legs. It was weight beyond imagination, weight designed to crush her. For a moment he thought he might stumble. His knees bent, his breath came fast, muscles screamed, but he did not collapse. He stayed planted, testing balance, shifting his weight carefully. Outside, the aliens watched in horror. Sensors jumped, readings spiked. The pressure should have ended the test within seconds, and yet Evan was still moving, still conscious. He's adapting," Lyra whispered. "It shouldn't be possible." Evan bent forward slightly, planting hands on the floor. He straightened slowly, muscles trembling but working. He shifted his weight to one leg, then the other, feeling the force distribute differently. The chamber responded, pressure adjusting minutely to his movements. "Not bad," he muttered, voice strained but calm. "Feels heavier than before, but manageable." Halleck's claws tapped nervously against the observation glass. "Impossible!" No human should be able to move like that under this pressure. Yep. Minutes passed, though they felt like hours. Evan continued to adapt. He bent, twisted, lifted, and shifted. His body trembled, his heart pounded, but he did not falter. Every movement was deliberate, calculated. Every step tested the field. Every motion improved his stability. Ral's voice broke the silence. "Director, if he continues, the chamber may not hold. Structural stress is at maximum. Do we stop it? Halrek did not answer immediately. He had studied endurance, training, and strength his entire life. He had tested species from worlds of crushing gravity, but he had never seen anything like this. "Watch," he said finally. "We must see the limit." If he survives, it will teach us more than any simulation or report ever could. Evan grunted, muscles burning. He lifted one leg, then the other, feeling the chamber shift pressure to compensate. The hum grew louder. The lights flickered slightly as energy surged through the walls. He bent at the waist, adjusting balance. The weight was immense, but he found the rhythm. "Okay," he muttered. "This is tough, but I can manage." Outside, the alien technicians held their breath. Lyra's 4 hands trembled as she monitored the sensors. The numbers were climbing, reaching levels that had been deemed impossible. Readings fluctuated wildly, yet Evan remained upright, moving with precision. Halrek's voice was low, almost a whisper. "I cannot believe this. The human Debo House. He is controlling the chamber as if it were part of his body. That is frightening." Sweat ran down Evan's face. Every muscle burned. Every joint protested. Breathing was a struggle. But he continued. He bent slightly, rolled his shoulders, shifted his weight. The pressure creaked, sensors blinked rapidly, but he adapted, just as he had during every other test. "Feels like a full-body lift at the gym," he said quietly, voice steady, but heavier, much heavier. The aliens exchanged nervous glances. No one spoke. None could predict what would happen next. Every second, the human proved them wrong. Every movement challenged everything they believed about strength, endurance, and survival. Evan bent to one side, then the other, testing balance. The suit inside the chamber responded, stabilizing with him. He lifted an arm slowly, then the other, muscles trembling under the extreme weight. The energy field reacted, following his movements with perfect precision. "Readings are off the charts," Lyra whispered. "He should be unconscious. He should be broken. But he is thriving." Ral floated close, voice low. "Director, if he continues, the chamber itself may fail. Pressure is beyond safe limits. Do we intervene?" Halrek's eyes never left the chamber. He had studied fear and survival for decades, but he had never seen anything like this. "Do not interfere," he said finally. "Observe. Learn. This human is rewriting what we know about strength." Evan bent at the knees, flexed his arms, adjusted balance. His body shook, but he stayed upright. Every muscle burned, every breath was heavy, yet he continued. The chamber pressed harder, pushing him to the limit, but he adapted. "Feels good," he said quietly. "Like a challenge. I can work with this." The aliens watched in stunned silence. Sensors blinked, monitors beeped, alarms flashed, yet the human continued. He was not panicking. He was not collapsing. He was moving with purpose, testing the limits, pushing boundaries, adapting. Minutes passed, then more. Each movement was careful, deliberate. Every adjustment made the chamber respond differently. Every step pushed the system to its maximum. Evan's body trembled. Sweat poured down his face, his muscles screamed. His lungs burned, but he did not stop. He bent, twisted, lifted, and shifted. The pressure was immense, yet he remained upright, moving with precision, controlling the chamber almost as if it were part of him. Lyra whispered again. "He is teaching the chamber how to respond." Halrek's jaw tightened. "I warned the Council. Humans are unpredictable. They adapt. They survive. They learn faster than we thought possible. This is beyond anything we expected." Ral's voice was tense. "Director, what if he goes further? What if he surpasses the chamber entirely? The station could collapse. The risk is enormous." Halrek did not answer. He only watched Evan, still moving, still adapting, still standing. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Evan straightened fully. His muscles trembled, Sweat poured, his chest heaved, yet he was still upright. He looked around, calm despite the strain. "Not bad," he muttered. "That was intense. Could be harder, but not bad." The chamber powered down slowly, energy fields retracting. Evan's body sagged slightly as pressure released, but he did not fall. He breathed heavily, muscles burning, yet his eyes shone with quiet triumph. Outside, the aliens stared in disbelief. The sensors, the monitors, the data, all of it confirmed what they had seen. The human had survived. The human had adapted. The human had endured what no other being could. Halrek floated near the glass, voice low. "We underestimated humans. Entirely. They are not just strong, they are clever. They survive. They adapt. They endure. And this one," he gestured toward Evan, still standing, "may change everything we know." Raoul's armored hands flexed nervously. "If word of this spreads, other species will fear humans. They will not accept them lightly." Evan stepped out of the chamber, breathing heavily, muscles trembling, but calm. He wiped sweat from his brow, glanced at the council, and smiled faintly. "So, what's next?" The aliens exchanged tense looks. They had thought this was the final test. They had thought humans were fragile. They had been wrong. And now, with Evan standing before them, alive, strong, and smiling, they understood something terrifying. Humans were not to be underestimated. The final test had ended, but the consequences were only beginning. Evan stepped out of the gravity chamber, his body dripping with sweat, every muscle trembling from the extreme pressure he had just endured. Yet his posture was straight, his head held high, and a faint smile played across his lips. Alien observers crowded the observation deck and the control room below, their eyes wide with disbelief. No human had ever endured what Evan had just survived, and their minds struggled to process it. Lyra's 4 hands hovered over the controls, shaking slightly. The readings, they don't make sense. No species should have survived that level of gravity. It should have crushed him completely. But he is standing, and moving, and smiling. Halrek floated closer to the observation glass, long neck bending forward as he stared at Evan. "We have misjudged humans entirely," he muttered. "We thought they were fragile, weak. But this one shows endurance, strength, and adaptability beyond any known species. It is frightening." Raoul's armored body shifted uneasily. "Director, the Council will not accept this lightly. Other species will hear about this human surviving the chamber. They will fear it. Humans are already underestimated, but this could change the balance of power." Evan, wiping sweat from his brow, did not seem concerned with politics. He looked at the suit, now powered down and quiet, and then at the control panels. "You built this to test limits," he said quietly, voice steady despite the exhaustion. "But you forgot one thing. You cannot just crush a human and expect fear. We adapt. We survive, and if we train, we get stronger." Halrek exhaled slowly. "Adapt! Survive. You are not just strong. You are teaching us what it means to endure." The alien technicians exchanged nervous glances. They had studied endurance, training, and pressure systems for decades. They had never seen anything like this. The human had not only survived, but had also moved in ways that optimized the suit's responses. Every shift, every step, every adjustment had taught the system how to distribute weight more effectively. The human had become part of the machine. Lyra's voice trembled. "He is improving the suit by moving in it. The field responds to him differently than any test subject before. This is unprecedented." Evan glanced at her and nodded. "It's not magic. You just need to understand how to move with the Force, not fight against it. That's how you survive." Raoul floated close, voice low and cautious. "Director, even if he survives, the station itself could be damaged." The energy fields inside the chamber have reached limits. If the human continues, structural failure is possible. Halrek's eyes narrowed. We must balance risk with knowledge. This human is teaching us more than we could have learned in 100 years of simulations. We cannot stop now. We observe. We study. But we cannot underestimate him. Evan's body still burned with exhaustion, but he straightened and looked around. So, what now? You want me to rest, or do you want another round? The aliens were silent. No one expected a human to ask so casually after surviving what had been designed to crush him. The council had planned to end the trials. They had assumed the human would fail. But Evan had survived, adapted, and thrived. Lyra finally spoke. We need to analyze the data first. We cannot proceed blindly. The stress on the suit, the chamber, the human, it is enormous. We need rest, evaluation, and recalibration. Evan nodded. Fine. But don't take too long. The longer I wait, the more my body adapts to the stress. And when I train, I learn faster than your systems can record. Halrek's long neck bent as he studied the human. You are dangerous, he said softly. Not because you wish harm, but because you are unpredictable. You adapt. You survive. You learn faster than we can measure. You may change everything we know about survival. Evan shrugged. I don't want to change anything. I just want to test my limits. That's how humans grow. You train, you push yourself, you get stronger. Simple as that. The aliens exchanged uneasy glances. Simple. That was what terrified them. For all their technology, all their training, all their calculations, they had assumed humans were weak, but Evan was proof they had been wrong. Humans were more than their appearance suggested. More than their fragile frames implied, humans could endure, adapt, and improve beyond expectation. Word of the tests spread quickly throughout the station. Engineers, scientists, and technicians from various species crowded the observation decks. They whispered in disbelief, watching recordings of Evan's movements. Some avoided the training chambers entirely, unwilling to be embarrassed by a human. Others lingered at the edges, curious but cautious. Evan noticed them. Keep watching, he said casually. You might learn something. For the next several days, Evan continued his training under lighter gravity gear. The chamber levels remained high but controlled. Each day he tested new movements, discovered weaknesses in the suit, and adapted to the pressure. Every adjustment made him stronger, more precise. His muscles, joints, and balance improved with each session. The aliens recorded everything. Every reaction, every adjustment, every breath was monitored. They debated in hushed tones what the humans were capable of, their fear growing with every passing moment. Ral floated near Halrek, voice tense. Director, the human may not just survive the chamber, he may surpass it entirely. Other species will fear him. We cannot predict what will happen if humans continue to train like this. Halrek did not answer immediately. He had studied strength, endurance, and adaptation for decades, but he had never seen anything like this. He had tested beings from crushing gravity worlds, yet this human defied every expectation. We will continue observing, he said finally, but we must also prepare for what comes after. If this human continues, it will change how the Council views humans forever. Evan, oblivious to the tension, moved with precision. He bent, twisted, shifted, lifted, and balanced. The suit responded perfectly to his motions. Sweat poured down his body, muscles burned, lungs ached, yet he smiled faintly. Feels good, he muttered. Like a challenge. I can work with this. Lyra's 4 hands hovered over the controls, trembling. He is teaching the suit how to respond. He is not just surviving, he is improving it. That is terrifying. Halrek exhaled slowly. Humans are unpredictable. They adapt, they endure, they survive, and this one may change everything we believe about strength. Ral's armored hands flexed nervously. If word of this spreads, other species will fear humans. They will not accept them lightly. The balance of power it could shift. Evan straightened, muscles trembling, sweat dripping, but calm. "So, what's next?" he asked. The aliens exchanged tense glances. They had thought the final test was over. They had assumed humans were fragile. They had been wrong. And now, standing before them, alive, strong, and smiling, Evan showed them that humans were far more than anyone had expected. The council knew one thing clearly: humans could no longer be underestimated. And for the aliens, the real challenge was only beginning. The human had survived the impossible. He had adapted, endured, and improved. And now the question remained: how far could he go before the station, or the universe itself, had to take notice? Evan stood in the center of the observation deck, breathing slowly but steady. The gravity chamber had been powered down hours ago, and yet his body still hummed with the memory of the pressure he had endured. Every muscle ached, every joint protested, but his eyes were sharp, alive, and calm. Around him, the alien council and technicians whispered in quiet awe and fear. No one had ever survived what he had just done, and the implications were impossible to ignore. Halrek floated closer, his long neck bent low as he studied the human. "Evan," he said, voice measured, "you have surpassed every expectation. You have endured what no other species could. You are extraordinary." Evan shrugged, as if the words were simple observation. "I just did what humans do. We face challenges. We adapt. We survive. You wanted to see what I could handle, and now you know." Raoul, the armored officer, clenched his fists. "Director, we cannot ignore this. If humans continue like this, with strength, endurance, and adaptability far beyond what we knew, other species will fear them. Humans are no longer the weak newcomers." Halrek's eyes narrowed. "I understand. But fear is not the lesson here. What we have learned from this human is more than strength. It is mindset, focus, the ability to endure impossible conditions while staying calm and thinking clearly. That is something no technology can replicate." Evan stepped forward, ignoring the whispers around him. "You see strength as numbers, as pressure, as crushing weight. But it is more than that. Strength is knowing your limits, testing them, and moving forward anyway. That's what humans do. That's how we survive." The council exchanged nervous glances. Some were impressed. Some were afraid. All were aware that humans had shifted from being underestimated to being a force to respect. For decades, they had assumed humans were weak, fragile, unprepared. Evan had proven them wrong. Lyra spoke quietly, almost to herself. "He is not just strong. He is clever. He teaches by doing." Every move he made inside the chamber, it improved the suit. It improved the system. He adapted it to his body. That is incredible." Evan nodded. "Exactly. That's what training is for. You don't just survive conditions. You learn from them. You improve. You get better." Halrek floated to the front of the council, claws folded. "Evan, your actions have forced us to reconsider humans entirely. You have shown endurance, adaptation, and intelligence that we never expected. You are not just a participant. You are a teacher." Evan smiled faintly. "I'm not here to teach. I just do what I can. But if you watch, you might learn something." The aliens were silent, their minds racing. They had built the chamber to test limits. They had expected failure, and yet the human had not failed. He had not only survived but had improved, adapted, and endured. Their assumptions about humans were shattered. Rael's voice was low, wary. "Director, the Council will not accept this easily. Other species will demand explanation. Humans are capable of more than we thought. If word spreads, they may face hostility or envy." Halrek nodded slowly. "We cannot control what others think. We can only observe and record. What we have seen here is undeniable. Humans can endure what we thought impossible. We must adjust our expectations accordingly. Evan walked toward the exit, muscles still trembling from the exertion, yet moving with calm precision. He glanced back at the chamber. "This was intense," he said quietly, "but I feel stronger already. Imagine what we could do with proper training, shared knowledge, and time." The aliens stared at him, realizing the weight of his words. He was not merely a human in a suit. He was a symbol of potential. He had survived the impossible. He had improved systems designed to test limits. He had taught them, without intending to dominate, that humans could not be underestimated. Lyra whispered almost to herself, "We cannot undo this. He has changed everything we know." Halrek's voice was calm, though tension lingered in the air. "Evan, humans are no longer observers. You have forced us to respect your species. That is rare. That is dangerous. That is powerful." Evan nodded, muscles trembling slightly as he stretched. "I don't want power. I just want to test limits. But if this helps you understand humans better, that's fine too." Outside the observation deck, other species began to take notice. Whispers spread across the station, stories of a human surviving the gravity chamber, enduring pressures beyond imagining, adapting in ways no one thought possible. Some species were curious. Some were afraid. Some began to reconsider the place of humans in the galaxy. Rael turned to Halleck. "Director, the station may never be the same. The Council will demand answers. Humans have proven themselves capable of more than we imagined. This may change alliances, expectations, everything." Halrek's claws tapped lightly against the console. "Yes, we have underestimated them for too long. We must prepare for what comes next. But today, we witnessed something extraordinary. A human survived what no one else could, and he taught us without trying that endurance and intelligence are inseparable." Evan, walking calmly past the council, paused and looked back. "One last thing," he said softly. "Humans are not fragile. We are not weak. We survive. We adapt. And if you ever test us again, expect us to do exactly that." The aliens absorbed the words, the weight of the humans' endurance, and the truth that humans were far beyond what they had expected. The gravity suit program, once designed to test limits, now became a symbol that humans could endure, adapt, and survive against conditions meant to crush them. Other species would learn this soon enough. Some would fear it, some would respect it. Evan moved toward the exit, body still trembling from strain, eyes sharp and calm. He had survived the impossible, adapted to the extreme, and taught the aliens that humans were a force to respect. Hallerek exhaled slowly. "The human has survived, yes. But he has also changed our understanding. Humans are not what we believed. They are more." Raul's armored body shifted. "And we must be careful. They can endure, adapt, and improve. They may not seek power, but others may fear what they are capable of." Evan walked through the doors, muscles still sore but body alive with energy. He had faced the ultimate challenge, endured the impossible, and emerged stronger. He had changed the station, changed the aliens' perceptions, and changed what it meant to be human in their eyes. And as the station continued its quiet orbit above the gas giant, one thing was clear: humans could no longer be underestimated. The human had survived the impossible, endured beyond all expectation, and taught a galaxy that strength was more than numbers, more than pressure. It was persistence, adaptation, and the will to endure. And now, with eyes bright and muscles still trembling, Evan stepped into a future no one could predict, leaving behind the aliens, the chamber, and a new understanding of what it truly meant to be human.